Hello, Anne Arundel County. It's Jody Rissy, your host for Food for Thought, live at Fawnwood Farms in Chestertown, Maryland. I've got one quick question for you. Did you drink your milk this morning? I sure did. The cows at Fawnwood Farms are really working hard for you. Did you eat or drink your milk today? Join me next on Food for Thought and know the real reason why you should. Hi, I'm Jody Rissy, the host for Food for Thought, and thanks for watching. Today I'm joined by Andy Mason from Fawnwood Farms and Dawn Klausing from Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association. We're going to give you a sneak peek about the life of a dairy farmer, and we're going to also talk about the nutritional benefits of eating and drinking dairy. Welcome, Andy, to Food for Thought.
Thank you.
Can you tell the viewers a little bit? I think you have a great story, and I think it was a pleasure that we were able to come out to your farm, Fawnwood Farms over in Chestertown, Maryland. But tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and your family.
Okay. Well, my parents and I manage and own Fawnwood Farms in Chestertown, Maryland, on the Eastern Shore. We milk about 320 cows, raise about another 300 heifers and calves, and we farm about 600 acres of corn and soybeans. And small grains.
Are you born and raised in Maryland?
I am.
You
I'm
are.
born and raised right where we are now. Yeah.
There's some neat history, I think, that goes on with Fawnwood Farms. And again, having a dairy farmer here with us today, I think means so much to us in Anne Arundel County. The farm has been in your family for such a long time, and yeah. I think it's so important for viewers to know that. I think when I came to work for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, I said I want to be a dietitian, and then I wanted to be able to feed kids. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about having a dairy farm and having it in the family, and just what do you do as a dairy farmer? Somebody watching today is probably, this guy's a dairy farmer. What does he do?
Well, I don't know. I've been around it my whole life. I've spent my childhood growing up working on the farm. I did go to college and learn how to do it, I guess, more efficiently, do a better job. But it's basically the only thing I've ever wanted to do. I enjoy cows, raising, and I enjoy milking cows and growing crops at the same time. That's basically why I do it.
So your day starts, I always laugh because I wake up in the morning and I work out because I think every day you just have to have that physical activity. Right. Dairy farmers work out all the time,
yeah,
right?
I don't work out other than working, yeah. Yeah, we start milking at 4 in the morning, then we milk again at 4 in the evening, but it takes about 5 hours.
So it takes 5 hours from start to finish to milk all of the cows?
To milk all the cows,
okay.
Yeah. And that's cleaning up and doing everything. So we're out of the barn in 5 hours usually. So, but yeah, I mean, we have employees that help do it, so it's not just us doing all the labor. But
yeah. So you start at 4 o'clock, and then how many cows again?
320 milking cows.
So 320 cows get milked
right.
from 4 a.m. and you're finished at 9?
About 9, yeah.
Around 9,
yeah.
And then you do it again.
Do it again.
So you have a 10-hour workday just with milking.
Right. But the worst part is that it's 12 hours apart. It's not like 10 straight hours. You got 5 hours, and then 12 hours later you got another
right.
5 hours.
But even in the middle of the day, when we visited the farm, I mean,
yeah.
it was busy during
yeah.
the middle, right?
Yeah,
because
we're feeding, and calves getting fed milk, heifers, cows, I'm not including that in milking, so we do have a lot.
Milking is just the milking part, just
yeah.
at the actual, I guess, having the milk come out of
right,
the cow.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to use all the wrong terminology, I'm sure,
fine.
today.
That's fine.
So it's an extremely long day.
Yeah.
How many acres, again, are Fawnwood Farms?
We farm about 600.
Okay, so 600 acres. A lot of us just, I think, living on this side of the bridge or, on the western side of the bay, that is so much. That's huge. It's just a huge amount of land. And the cows are able to, go throughout the farm, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, you have them obviously fenced in, so they
right.
don't leave the farm.
Right,
but
yeah.
They're fenced in. And then they have certain barns that they're able to go in.
Yeah, we have a freestyle barn where it's sand. They lay on. It's sand bedded, so they lay on sand, and that's, I mean, the main barn for the milking herd is where they stay. So.
It was so beautiful when we were at the farm. I mean, that was the thing that left me the biggest impression is just the beauty of the farm and just the natural resource that's right there. And the farm is in the middle of all of this land. The barns were beautiful. And I know you and I and Dawn from Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association, we had the opportunity to do a little PSA, and we talked about the value of milk. And just looking through the barn, and the sky was so beautiful and blue, and the cows were all so happy and mooing. And I can remember one of the cows, I think they were like licking your leg, and they were just eating right along the edge. So it's really, I find that just amazing, just the orchestration of it all of the equipment that was needed. You had a piece of equipment when we were there, and I know it, I don't know, we feed our children in schools and they come into us and they get a tray and they get their fruit, their vegetable, their milk, everything.
Right.
But this machine actually was able to put their feed.
Right, yeah, that was the mixer.
All right,
Mixer
it was
wagon.
called a mixer.
Mixer wagon, yeah. Yeah, we put all the ingredients, and it's got 2 augers that mix it all together, and then we're able to drive wherever and unload it. It has a conveyor that shoots the feed out.
Okay, and they feed, what do cows eat again? And I guess more importantly, the part that I love is we eat 3 meals a day. Sometimes we have some snacks in between, as long as they're, you know, I say always you should have yogurt or a cheese stick. You can have fruits and vegetables.
There you go.
But cows eat how often?
We feed ours 3 times a day.
Okay, and is it typical, like, do you always have at the same time? Is it always a breakfast time for them, a lunch and a dinner?
Yeah, more or less. We feed about the same time every day. So.
Okay, and they receive corn?
Our diet is formulated for milk production. We have a dairy nutritionist that makes the ration. And it's got corn silage, rye silage, alfalfa, hay, and then some corn, soybeans, and then some minerals.
Wow. So it's pretty, they get all of their nutrients they need to stay fueled for the day.
Right, yeah.
We talk about always here, but obviously for that milk production, that's key, because we want them to be able to produce as much milk as they can, so we can eat and drink as much of the dairy that we can.
That's right, yeah.
When we talk about the dairy farm, and I have written down here just for a little reminder, is in school food service, we have the Department of Health that come in and they inspect our schools. We have federal guidelines that we follow. We have state guidelines that we follow. We're always looking at the nutrition of what we do for our children and the cleanliness, the sanitation, and the safety of all of our schools. Your facility, the farm, was beautiful. The upkeep was truly amazing. It was so clean in the milking stalls, I guess, if that's what we call them.
Yeah.
How are you inspected there? You know, I think a viewer watching might say, well, they're at the farm and they do what they want. They don't have to follow regulations.
That's not the case. We have where we ship our milk, a co-op has an inspector that comes periodically whenever. We don't really know when they're going to come.
They show up unannounced, right?
Yep. And then we have the state also has an inspector that comes the same way. But not only that, there's different. The milk's tested for bacteria and stuff. So I mean, they have ways to tell if there's something wrong, that something's not clean, or so. I mean, we do our best to ensure that the equipment's working properly, and that everything's clean every time. So that the milk is as good as it can be.
And it's quality milk and wholesome milk. Now I know when we were there was temperature gauges, which we have in schools, all of our refrigeration. So when we're holding our milk, we do fat-free flavored milk. By the way, I know chocolate and strawberry are the biggest hits here in Anne Arundel. But you know, everything is temperature sensitive. So milk has to be, you know, maintained, or our cheese or our yogurts. So that's a big part of our process. I know there was temperature gauges at the farm.
Yeah, well, milk comes out of a cow at 100 degrees, or 101 degrees. So the goal is to cool it as quickly as possible. So we have a plate cooler which uses groundwater that before it hits the tank, that's what cools it to like 60 degrees, and then from there the tank has compressors, and then it constantly agitates and gets it to about 38 degrees, and that's what our goal is, to get it there as quickly as possible and hold it there until the truck comes.
And that's the big trucks that we see on the highway, right? And they come up and they pull up at the farm and they go into the storage tank and they pull all the milk out, and then it goes for processing.
Right.
tell the viewers a little bit. My favorite part about the visit, obviously, I loved feeding the calf. I thought that was unbelievable. I don't remember how old she was.
She was a couple days, I think.
And she was so strong.
Yeah.
I remember I had a hard time. I mean, she was like knocking me over, and I don't know how big the bottle was, but it was adorable because we were able to feed her the bottle, or I was able to do that.
Yep.
But
you can come do more anytime.
I can. I think it was a hard job. And I think Valerie, who worked with me on the milking, that was an experience and a half. And I would love for you to share. And that was my last question for you is really, and it's so important, that milking process, I was amazed. It was so technical, it was so clean, it was so orderly. The cows are basically identified like you're Andy and I'm Jody.
Right.
I mean, you know who the cows are and you monitor all of that.
Yep.
Can you walk through, like, so our viewers are listening and they're saying, how do you milk a cow? So here comes the cow into the milking stall, and what do you do? Where does it all go once you milk it?
Well, I think the biggest thing when we start is to make sure we have a routine, and every cow's milked the same way. I don't think the cow really likes surprises, so if we ensure we do it the same way, they tend to do better. But the first thing, we use an iodine solution to dip each teat. From there, we use a cloth towel to rub and massage and get any debris that would be on the teat off. From there, we attach the milking unit, which has vacuum, low vacuum to, I guess, sucks the milk from the teats. And then from there, the system has meters that registers how much milk is actually produced. And once the production drops off, the unit will come off automatically. And then from there, we dip the teat, and then she can go. The whole process is probably 5 or 6 minutes per cat, or from start to finish.
So do you think mine took 5 to 6 minutes when I did
You
it?
were
I was a little off.
A little longer.
So I think if I was coming as one of your employees, you might say,
Well,
I don't know, Jody. It's,
we'd have to work with you.
you'd have
a
to
little
work
bit.
with me.
Yeah.
I'd need some more training, I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah. But the milk, there's a pipeline that flows to the tanks. So once the milk's pulled from the unit, it goes right through a tube to a stainless steel pipeline that goes into the milk house where the tanks are. So.
And that was the giant storage tank that we
Right.
were in that room. And again, it was all monitored and metered and temperature gauges.
Right. Yep.
So if you're, and again, I think most importantly, I think we all think of, okay, we're at a dairy farm, we're at Fawnwood Farms, and we're going to go work with Andy today, and here comes the cow. They come in a system. So there was 4 or 5 cows on each side of the stalls.
Yep.
And this one person, because I'm assuming, I guess that's always one person, is going, and they do this whole process of cleaning and wiping the debris, because I remember asking you guys, saying, like, what could be there?
Yeah.
And there was. It was just little
It was like
particles of sand.
Yep.
And
Sand's
probably
the-
just from them laying down.
Right. Exactly right.
And
Yep.
just to do that, and then the iodine solution, just again, I guess, taking care of if there would be any bacteria or anything
Right.
that you'd have to worry about is just sanitizing that before it
Sanitizing.
goes.
Yep. That's right.
And then the process, it was just so quick, like, choop,
Yep.
and boom.
Yep. And they're back to eating.
That's great. Now, you're also, I think a lot of your milk, we always say that we think in Anne Arundel County we could possibly be getting it because we know that your milk obviously goes to, I think, to the co-op, like you mentioned, but
Right.
Land O'Lakes is some of the cheese that the milk is made
Right. Yep.
into, and we purchase that. The biggest thing that our kids love in Anne Arundel County is we do a little grab and go, and it's a yogurt, a 4-ounce yogurt, and a cheese stick, which is Land O'Lakes. So I always feel Fawnwood Farms is definitely part of our process each and every day. We do cheese sticks at breakfast, we do them at lunch, and we also do them for snacks before testing.
Okay.
Because we want the kids to have that good source of protein
That's good.
and those nutrients. So just like you like happy cows and you like them to produce milk and be healthy and happy, and they looked beautiful, by the way, we want the same thing with our kids here in Anne Arundel County.
Yep.
So we believe that same thing of the 3 square meals we would love, and we're feeding some kids dinner. You do the
Yep.
same thing for your cows.
Yep.
So if anybody, we only have a few seconds left, if they're watching and they say, I really want to be a dairy farmer, you work 365 days a year,
Yep. That's right.
10 or 12 or more hours a day.
Usually, yeah.
It's hard work, but do you love every minute of it?
I do, and I think you have to stay positive. There's times where you get a little discouraged about things, but for the most part, I wouldn't want to do anything else. I think it's the only
a great
thing I've
job.
ever done, but at the same time, it's a good life. So
Yeah, I think it shows. When we were there, we definitely saw the commitment. We saw the dedication to the farm, to the animals, and to the community.
Yep.
So we can't thank you enough for letting us see your farm and for letting you come here and share your story with our viewers here.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
As you can see, Fawnwood Farms and Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association are so important to us here in Anne Arundel County. In our second segment, we're going to talk to the dietitian, Dawn Klausing, and learn about the real benefits of eating dairy every day. Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned to Food for Thought. My next guest is Dawn Klausing from the Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association. Dawn is no stranger to us in Anne Arundel County. She's been here many times, and her value is truly being a registered dietitian and a partner right here with us in Anne Arundel County. Welcome back, Dawn, to Food for Thought.
Thanks for having me back.
Andy just shared great facts about being on the dairy farm and being a dairy farmer. And you were able to join us when we went over to the farm. It was a great event.
It was.
I think seeing how hard they work, how committed they are, just the value that they provide. And I love the fact that in Anne Arundel County, I believe we're having some of that milk that came right from Chestertown, Maryland, which I think is priceless. But I would love now, as the registered dietitian, both registered dietitians, both moms, for us to go into the benefits. But first, and I don't want to forget this part, is please tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. What's your background? I know you've been here many times, but maybe for the first time, somebody watching, I'd love them to know a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a registered dietitian and a spokesperson for Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association, and I work to promote the health benefits of dairy to both consumers and health professional audiences.
Okay,
And I'm a mom.
There you go. I was going to say, and there's a mom factor that we both have.
Yeah.
Good, and I think that's the joy of both of our positions, because as registered dietitians, we're always having that message, and we're always communicating the benefit of eating healthy, and obviously the dairy, but fruits, vegetables, whole grains, the whole gamut. I love with my children every day to talk about the dairy things, and did they have milk today? And so I think it really just only enhances what we do professionally when you can do it at home as well.
Exactly. Sometimes they don't like that so much, but you know, it's to their benefit ultimately, right?
Yeah, I love when my 10-year-old says, like, is this the protein? So, I mean, it's kind of funny that we talk about it all the time, and they're obviously talking about it now, too. And I think they talk about a lot of things at school lunch, so I love it. If they can spread our message to their friends at school lunch.
They can be our messengers.
That's right. I think it's perfect. First, let's just talk about a little, you know, the focus is always on the health and the well-being of our students. And obviously, we know a well student will achieve more. The academic connection is so sound, it's so evident. Students that are fueled both in their bodies and in their brains are ready to learn and ready to be successful while they're in our school buildings, as well as when they move on and outside of the school day. So what are the health benefits, and why really should we choose dairy?
Well, we know dairy delivers, okay? The dietary guidelines and leading health authorities recommend 3 servings a day, but we know that most people only get less than 2, okay? And so we're falling short. We also know that dairy is packed with nutrients, 9 essential nutrients, including 3 that most people don't get enough of. That's calcium, potassium, and vitamin D. And you know calcium and vitamin D are great for strong bones and potassium for a healthy heart. And we also know that dairy is a really great high-quality protein source. So there are a lot of great health benefits. We also know that milk drinkers have an overall better nutrient intake than non-milk drinkers. So there's a lot of benefits to having dairy in the diet.
And I love in school meals, and you know this, both at breakfast and lunch, our beverage choice, and it's through the United States Department of Agriculture, is dairy. Dairy is, and we do fat-free, fat-free chocolate, fat-free strawberry. Strawberry's my favorite. And then we do the 1%, just the unflavored or the white milk. So it is definitely a staple in all of the school meals program. Even we do the dinner program now, if we do our summer meals, milk is always there. But there's other items also that would be considered a dairy item.
Yeah, and dairy is very important for kids too, because we know, like you mentioned, the learning connection, but also immediately we think of stronger bones for kids and growing kids. They need the calcium and the vitamin D for their strong bones. But also dairy is associated with a lower risk of some chronic diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, and we now are seeing these diseases and these health conditions being diagnosed in young children, and that's really unacceptable. So if we can get them eating dairy products at a young age, it's a healthy habit that they can take through adulthood, and hopefully, maybe ward off some of these not so good health consequences.
And that's what we're seeing so often in the schools, and it's why I think I value our partnerships with Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association or with the dairy farmer like Andy today from Fawnwood Farms, is how important is it that we teach them that lifelong lesson? And dairy is so important as part of it that it could be something that they like, they enjoy. I believe a healthy student creates the healthy school creates the healthy community. It truly just goes right out to the community. We really encourage, we support, and we really promote our children to go out and say to grandma or grandpa, or it could be an aunt or an uncle.
Well, if they're not healthy now and they're already compromised from a medical standpoint, as children, these are our future leaders. So we can't have them going into adulthood with all these health problems. So if we can get them started in healthy habits right away, and a habit isn't always a bad thing. A habit can be a good thing. So you start these healthy habits and then it leads into adulthood.
And I like how you say it as a healthy habit, because it just should be understood that that's the beverage that you might choose at breakfast.
Exactly, and if you're not drinking milk with your meals, milk is probably the easiest way to get all those essential nutrients. If you're not drinking milk with your meals, it's kind of hard to capture those nutrients that you would be missing with other foods.
And you're saying a serving. So if I'm a mom watching or I'm a dad watching today and I'm like, a serving, so I'm going to pour my daughter milk this morning. A serving would be how much?
Well, a serving is 8 ounces of milk, 6 to 8 ounces of yogurt. I think the yogurt containers are getting smaller in the stores, but it's about 6 to 8 ounces of yogurt. And then with cheese, it's 1.5 ounces of natural cheese, which would be about 4 dice cubes. I didn't bring my dice cubes today, but people know what dice are. And 2 ounces of a processed cheese.
So, and when you think about that, like say in the schools, exactly, you brought with you today one of the low-fat, the chocolate milks. We do fat-free. It's exactly like that. It comes 8 ounces. Ours comes in plastic bottles as well. And I really believe the presentation of it in the bottle is very, I don't know.
Enticing?
Enticing for sure. I think the students are enjoying it more in the bottle. We switched to bottles a few years ago. I think it stays colder. I know Andy talks so much about that, the critical control point or keeping the milk cold. There's nothing better than cold milk.
Well, and we want kids to have a good experience whenever they're drinking milk. So if it's going to be warm and in a, carton that's falling apart, I mean, they're not going to have a good experience, and that might turn them off. So if it's in a bottle, it's kept cold, they've got flavors that are enticing for kids, why not? I mean, I know flavored milk sometimes can be an issue, but with a small amount of added sugar to an already nutrient-rich beverage is a no-brainer for me.
It's priceless, right? And it's so funny, I think as 2 registered dietitians, and you and I have had this discussion numerous times, I recently did a presentation in front of a group of parents, and they really had a lot of questions for me about that flavored part of our flavored chocolate and our flavored strawberry. It's about 11 grams extra sugar. The nutrient power that comes out of drinking 8 ounces of milk is priceless. Again, it has the calcium, the phosphorus, vitamin D.
Well, and
how do they not?
I sometimes say to people, okay, would you have a salad without dressing? That's adding fat to your vegetables, but that's acceptable. Now, there might be some people that would have a salad without dressing. Or do you have oatmeal without putting any brown sugar on it? Right. I mean, that's adding a little bit of sugar to something that's nutrient rich. So I don't see the difference with adding a little bit of sugar to a nutrient-rich beverage like milk.
And I think often people will, now I know we're talking about dairy, and I love dairy, but even when you look at other beverages, people will say, well, there's not as much sugar, and they're losing all the other nutrients. I mean, 9 essential nutrients are found, in the milk. How are we losing sight of that? So, anybody watching today, I would really encourage them, if their child is not drinking milk, but they like chocolate milk, please. Let them have it.
And think about your drink, because it's the other nutrients. What else is being delivered in this beverage? And milk is unparalleled.
I agree. There's a little bit, I guess, I'm not going to say statistics because I know we've talked about it before, but that chocolate milk is even a great item to be refueling an athlete with.
Oh, absolutely. There's science behind the carb to protein ratio that an athlete would need to replenish, refuel, rehydrate, that type of thing. Now, those studies have been done in adults, but that's not to say that kids can't be rehydrated with milk and it does refuel people.
It does the body good. You know, we say that all the time. I mean, we love it. We support it. We really encourage all of our adults also in our schoolhouses, if they're having school meals with us, have the milk. Be the role model.
Role model, exactly. That's hugely important at home and in the school environment.
And we have talked about that in other segments. Just being the registered dietitian, it's key that you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. And have the fruits and vegetables, have dairy with your meals. You know, talk about it, encourage it. I encourage parents watching to ask their child if they had milk with their meal today. You know, or did they have, I mentioned to Andy, our favorite meal in our elementary school is our grab and go. We still call it a grab and go, but it's a yogurt, a cheese stick, they get a gram, and unlimited fruits and vegetables. They love it.
That's terrific.
So just imagine that mom or dad asking, that child gets to go home and say, I drank milk, I had yogurt, I had a cheese stick, and I had unlimited fruits and vegetables today.
That's amazing.
So it's such a benefit to have the meals with us and be able to include all of these nutrient-dense, really great food items that will set the tone for the rest of their lives for them.
And you know what, I think industry has really stepped up to formulate products that meet the criteria for reduced sugar for schools, that type of thing. And also just the innovation with coming up with smaller on-the-go, like the cheese sticks and the little individual cheese packets or the Go-Gurt tubes, things that can be on the go because people are busy.
And you are seeing them in the fast food, you're seeing them in all, I mean, not only in school meals, but we do them because they're quick in school meals as well. I think we've even talked before, one little treat that we do for our children is you can freeze the Go-Gurt.
Yes.
It's great. It's frozen, they push it up, it's almost popsicle-like, packed full of nutrition. So it's a great option for parents. What are some other ways that a viewer watching today, how can they include dairy in their diet? And I know you brought some things today, but what are ways that they can include it in their diet as a meal, as a snack?
We have a great handout at Mid-Atlantic Dairy on our website, and I think you guys will probably link to it or show the website, dairyspot.com. But we show how, excuse me, when my plate came out, it showed, excuse me, that there's just a glass next to the plate. But we know that dairy goes beyond that, glass, bowl, or plate. It can be part of your meal, and it makes mealtime complete. So you can have your standard meal with a lean protein, a grain, a salad, put a little bit of shredded cheese on your salad, have that glass of milk with your meal. For lunch, you might do a roll-up, like a whole grain tortilla with some
cheese. You can do some fruit.
Exactly. And you roll that up with some cheese in there. You can also do a vegetarian. Dairy fits into a vegetarian meal plan as well. You can have a meatless chili and have some shredded cheese on that. And always, of course, adding the glass of milk whenever you sit down.
And that's so simple. And I think you mentioned that earlier for the parent watching that says, you know, we may not have cheese in the house or we don't go in, you know, because it's a perishable item. I mean, as is milk, but milk is so easy to pour it, boom, out the door. Often in the morning, if we're running out, that's what we do. I mean, they get their glass of milk, but it could be a really quick grab-and-go granola or just something that's, it's fast, like you said. And I think that's what the manufacturers are really doing now. They're making things that are fast, convenient, and ease of transportation.
Even smoothies. You can make those very quickly and easily at home. And I know that I think it's Yoplait that has the frozen yogurt cubes in with frozen fruit, and you just throw that in the blender, pour a little bit of milk in there, blend it up, pour it, and you're on the go.
That's great.
Very tasty.
Well, there were a few great tips for everybody watching, and I think we definitely stress the importance of dairy. We only have about 1 minute left. Can you just share real quickly, the dairy farmer in the community is so important. Can you just, again, tie in the hard work they do, how dedicated, and what percentage, again, of farms are run by families?
Well, they say that 97% of U.S. farms are family-run, family-owned. We know that dairy farmers are very hardworking people. They have a passion and a work ethic that is unparalleled, and they strive to produce wholesome, safe, nutritious, high-quality milk for everybody every day.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all the tidbits again, and you're welcome back anytime in Anne Arundel County.
Thanks, Jody.
As you can see, Fawnwood Farms and Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association are key partners here in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Good nutrition, the value of all the dairy that we talked about today is just priceless. We offer all of these dairy items each and every day in School Meals program, both at breakfast and at lunch. If you have questions about the School Meals program, please call me at 410-222-5900. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Food for Thought.